Hello, I'm Dave Wasteman, and I'm really happy to be speaking today with Mustafa of Fine Art Minerals. Mustafa, good to talk to you today.
Dave, nice to talk to you as well.
You've been finding some really wonderful things lately.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, I think the most important finding beautiful things is all about passion, love that you should have, and that's what it's all about. And because of that passion and love that since childhood I had is just, I always been looking for something spectacular, great, or fine, really fine quality that can just.
We're all looking for the fine
right.
mineral.
Right.
How do you define a fine mineral? Do you have a list of qualities or characteristics that you would discuss?
I think it's a very good question, Dave. I think maybe my answer would be a bit complicated, but if I would,
okay.
If I would explain from my perspective, how do you define fine minerals? I would say first and foremost, the moment that you see the mineral, your heart beating start to just become faster. Yeah. So what that means is that click in your heart that it says wow. So that is the first thing. I think I'm sure that the mineral collectors know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
So that's what exactly happens to me. So the first click of your heartbeat does go faster, and then you start to fall in love. And I think I would say the most important thing is the static in fine minerals. It has to be very beautiful, presented very beautiful, and of course on top of that, for fine minerals, the most important points that I would mention is the aesthetic, the quality, and the color. These are the three things that I would definitely put on top when you're looking for really fine minerals. It has to have a really great color. I mean, it has to have a very good aesthetic. And of course, there's a lot of other points that we can mention as well.
Aesthetic, though, I mean, is just a word. Is there a way to get it into more detail? What are the attributes of aesthetic quality?
Aesthetic and quality, what exactly means is the associations of minerals placed in the right place on the matrix. So basically, how I would define aesthetic is if there is a matrix and the crystal is right in the middle of the matrix, freestanding, and on the side you have a little bit of quartz or albite or anything. For me, that is a super aesthetic piece. That it starts to show itself that it's well balanced.
Balance. I think that's what I was waiting for you to say.
So,
I think balance is important.
It is very important.
Very
so
important.
there's a lot of time you have a specimen that the matrix is in the middle and the crystal is sitting on the corner or in the corner. That's also good, but I think that would not be like super static piece. A best definition of static would be the specimen have to be balanced. The crystal have to be right in the place where it needs to be. So that's actually, I would say, about the static. That's the most important thing, I believe.
And damage or lack of it is a great quality. We wanted them to be pristine and very gemmy and all that. When you're mining these, or when the people, when they're mining them, how is that entering into the miner's idea of his work? Do you deal with that with the people you buy from?
We absolutely are, and I think we're working very, very serious on this issue because, Dave, as you know, sometimes it happens many times. You have seen a spectacular specimen that you see, wow, the aesthetic is there, the quality, the color, the clarity is there, there's nothing missing, and all of a sudden you see there's a damage on the back of it or on the top of it, which like makes you, oh wow, I wish that it wasn't that. So keeping that in mind, we always, when we go to talk to the miners that we tell them that how important it is and how valuable it is, that all you have to do is be a little bit of more care and be careful when extracting them. So I think they're learning more, and we are trying to just and tell them all important things, what they have to do, how they have to do the packing, because a lot of time, Dave, what happens is they just get the specimen from the mine in a pristine condition, but is the packing also is a big problem for them. They don't know how exactly how to perfectly pack the specimen so it's not damaged. So we're working on that, and we all keep telling them that you should be very careful, take your time, don't rush, because the problem in our country, especially in Pakistan and Afghanistan, as soon as they open a pocket and something they see in the ceiling or on the side, immediately they want to just take it out as money.
But isn't part of that because it's more of a gemstone mentality? They have always very often or before mined for the gem cutter.
Right. I think that's a very good question, you know. To be honest with you, back in the days, I used to hear that, you know, they used to have a very gemmy crystal on the matrix. And of course, they were taking it off the matrix because they had no idea it's more valuable on matrix. But, you know, having said that, you know, you'd be surprised, Dave, that even right now in the market that I am in Pakistan, if there are some really serious gem dealers, they see something spectacular. Like I've seen the likes of emerald on matrix, and I've been told that, oh, it's a good one, but if you just take it out of the matrix, it will make you more money. And I didn't believe then, but when I saw practically in some cases, it has happened that it's lying on the matrix in a way that you don't see, you know, how gemmy it is and how nice cut stone it will give. And still this perspective is going on, and people are still working, like, you know, taking off the matrix. But like, you know, rarely nowadays.
So it's still an issue for you.
100% it is, 100%.
So you feel you're still educating them. You're still having to tell them what you really need.
Absolutely, you know, like I said, you know, even now there are some people who are doing that, but I have to tell them that, look, the stone that you're taking it out of the matrix, you know, when you cut it, how much money you'll get, this is this much, but this is 3 times, 4 times more if you leave it as it is.
So it's a different aesthetic. I mean, you have to teach them more what aesthetics is to you. Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Or you and your customer.
Absolutely, I think.
Do your customers, well, do your customers define these terms differently, some of them, or do you think the higher end, the collector, the one who's really looking for the fine minerals, are they defining aesthetic the same, or is there a personal aspect of this that makes it different for some people? What do you think?
I think it's a little bit different for some people. I would definitely say that. I think it's very, very difficult to put this in one word, Dave, about the aesthetic, because I know a lot of friends who are collectors, and some of them, they're not bothered about the balance and aesthetic that we discussed about. Like they say, oh, as long as the crystal is super gemmy and it has a great color, I'm fine with that, which is not a problem at all. But having said that, if we come to a conclusion that one wants a super fine matrix specimen, then I believe that, you know, we have to definitely look at the all points that we mentioned earlier, that if you want the really best of the best, let's suppose there's a collector and he says, I want to just start collecting, you know, what's the best way? My advice would be, you know, the best way would be, of course, not only look for quality, which is important, the color, which is important, of course, the clarity, but on top of all that, to be honest with you, if the static and the specimen is not balanced, for me, I think it's an imperfect specimen. No matter even how great the quality of the crystal is, how great the color is, but I think it plays a major role in the specimen.
It's a very personal thing, though. You know, it's emotional. You know, I want to buy a rock that I come up to and it grabs me, and pulls me to the glass. You know. Those are the ones that I always feel very comfortable buying.
I think in my career, Dave, if you ask me personally, you know, since 32 or 33 years personally that I have been in this business, if you ask me when you are buying the specimen, what would be the best way that you know you have seen in your career, honestly, and this is exactly the same thing I would just say to all our fellow friends and the collectors and the newcomers, whoever, and it had worked perfectly for me. Like you mentioned, you know, I think the best way would be if you're going to the show or somebody's showing you, you know, that first glance of looking at the specimen, the first moment that you see, you know it, like within a second.
Like love at first sight.
There you go. So if that happens, my advice is don't leave the specimen. Even though sometimes there's a price concern, there's a quality concern, but as soon as they unbox the specimen and you see it, and immediately it starts to talk to you. Oh wow, you know that feeling that you get. I agree with that. You know, so when you get that, go for it. You know.
One word I haven't heard is size. I haven't heard that in this discussion yet. Size to me is, I wouldn't say irrelevant, but it doesn't matter if the quality is there on something like this, fine. But I've seen you come to show with some things like this, you know. How do you feel about size as a character for the aesthetic and the quality of specimens?
I think, to be honest with you, yes, unfortunately for the larger size specimens, nowadays the trend is not that much. A lot of collectors and dealers that I know, they tend to keep the size not too big. Maybe just because of the carrying or because of taking. But to be honest with you, I would say when it comes to quality and aesthetic, overall, I'm saying, but of course everybody has his own choice. It does not matter that much, you know, the size for me. The most important thing is, like, you know, of course the price goes higher if the specimen gets bigger and the crystal gets larger. But I think I think for new collectors, of course, I've seen a lot of collectors that they just want to stick to the thumbnail and thumbnail only, which makes sense, you know, and miniature, which is easy to carry. It's easy, you know, you don't have a lot of problem. But I think size for me is as long as it has that attraction that you need when you put them on display at your house or at your gallery or in the show. I think that's what is very important. Like this show in Denver that I brought, you know, 2 or 3 larger pieces, but to be honest with you, the amount of compliments that I have on those, even though I have a smaller, very beautiful pieces, more expensive than that, I was actually very happy and surprised for the people because it pops out.
Yeah, maybe people don't see a larger one as practical in their home.
That's right.
Or in their shelf or something, or something this big.
That's right.
That's true. So color, I see a lot of variability in the aquamarines that you bring. Sometimes they're much less bright and the hue is not as saturated. Do you think color is necessarily as high of a ranking in aesthetics as some other qualities?
I think the color is, I would say, very important, Dave, in my perspective. I think because gemstones or minerals or crystals are all about colors, to be honest with you. I think the color is important in a way. Let's suppose, Dave, you have a very fine specimen of aquamarine. Let's suppose the matrix is the best you can get. Beautiful, nice, super shiny Clevelandite or albite. And you have this super gemmy, you know, crystal of aquamarine sitting right in the middle of matrix with a beautiful luster, with a beautiful termination. But you know what? It looks great. But imagine if there's no color. Unfortunately, all those points that we discussed earlier, that's gone for, I wouldn't say nothing, but that's gone for, you know.
It minimizes them.
Minimizes a lot, you know. So I think, but having said that, let's suppose we have a specimen, the same that I've explained before, but it's not clear. It doesn't have a good clarity. But if the color is there, but still like the contrast is there, you have the deep blue on the white with the smoky. So I think for me, the color is very important. Even if the clarity is not good, it's no problem. You know, as long as the color is there, we want contrast. The prospect of specimens and collection is all about contrast.
That's another good word in this, I think.
And when there's a contrast, there's a beauty. And when there's a beauty, it's all about that. Attracts people.
Yeah, well, contrast sometimes is really enhanced by the associations. So just a single crystal on matrix is one thing, but if it has 3 or 4 other minerals, add garnets to it, the red, the blue, the white.
Exactly.
You know, much more attractive, I think.
Imagine, Dave, like you've been a collector for many years. You know, if you have aquamarine on albite, and on top of that, if you have a garnet with it, the value goes 2-3 times immediately high. And the reason for that is, of course, because of this color contrast. You know, usually a lot of people would say, oh, you know what, I want a matrix and a single crystal. I don't want distractions. But, you know, of course, that what we talked is the more minerals are grown together in one matrix, of course, the more color contrast is there, and the more color contrast, the more attractive and beautiful it gets.
It's like there's so many aquamarines. So many. For years we've seen, decades we've seen aquamarines coming out on matrix. They're amazing. They're beautiful. The ones though with the complex terminations, much more intriguing, much more interesting. But now you put a garnet or something else on there besides, changes the whole ballgame.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think I have been talked with a lot of dealers and collectors recently, Dave, because I'm sure that you know about the production from Pakistan, the aquamarine excessively at the moment is coming. But to be honest with you, to some extent, I do not agree with most of the people. What they're thinking is, for example, when I show them a beautiful crystal of aquamarine, without even saying anything about the piece, they say, oh, there's a lot of aquamarines coming from Pakistan. You know, that's fine. It's true. There is a lot of aquamarines are coming. But you have to see exactly the piece that you're seeing, what it has got. That's the number one thing. And number 2 thing, what I would say, it could be any minerals. For me, honestly, it doesn't matter if the tons of the mineral is coming. What matters is you have to see the specimen or the crystal that you're seeing, how good it is. Number 1. And number 2 is how many pieces of this quality is around in the market. That is the most important thing before I start to think there's tons coming. You know, tourmalines has been, Dave, you know, coming for years and years from Brazil, from Africa, from Afghanistan. If that was the case, that is coming in tons and tons, the value would have not ever gone higher. We still
like Brazilian tourmalines no matter what.
And still people like sit in the price have gone sky high.
You walk into a room and you buy everything on the floor.
Exactly.
You buy 200 specimens. There's of those, there's really only 3 or 4 or 5 that are of that fine. Fine quality, So I think that so that kind of gets to another word, the rarity. Okay, it's not rare, but that that one is, because it's only one of 200 or 300 on the floor.
Absolutely.
So that probably really helps also to define what fine really is.
Absolutely agree.
Because we wouldn't want the other 295 of them. We want those 5 that are on there probably.
Absolutely, Dave. And I totally agree. And I would like to mention this point because a lot of people have this mentality. There's many of the. Imagine, look at the quartz. Look, I think I would say, how common is quartz, Dave? You know, it's normal. It's very common. Yeah. But I'm sure that you have seen some incredible pieces that
I love quartz.
That are on top of the world. They're the one of a
world
kind,
class.
World class, even
absolutely.
though it's only quartz. Right. I have seen pieces, Dave, that hand size quartz only, nothing with it, and have sold for 6 figures. I've seen it. And to tell somebody a quartz in 6 figures, they would say, "Are you kidding?" But no, that no matter what the species is, what is all about is the static quality. Even though it's quartz and white, but sometime in quartz, Dave, you get an incredible, single crystal on a beautiful contrast of albite, or and sometimes a cluster you get so beautiful, so lustrous, like the Arkansas quartz. How incredible quality they are,
or phantoms, or scepters, or twins, or all those things,
or bubbles.
Right.
So it's crazy, even though it's quartz. But so my point is that I would want everybody to see how good it is. That's the very, very important thing. Number one, how good it is. Number two, are there similar quality and size around in the market? I would want them to do the research before they say, "Oh, there's plenty of quartz.
Right.
There's tons of aquamarine." So,
but not of that quality.
Yes, yes. I think that's very, very important.
I think collectors should take that in mind all the time, every time they buy something.
Absolutely.
You want to buy something that you love and you have passion for that piece because it talked to you when you saw it.
Right.
You fell in love with it at first sight.
Absolutely.
Like we say.
Yes.
But it also has to be really, really high quality to be a fine.
I think so.
And not many are really that.
No, I think so. I think, Dave, the most important thing, what I have learned, I have few of the good friends and collectors in Europe that I'm building a collection for them. And, recently it happened in San Marie show just, a few months ago. And I was walking with my friend and he said, I have seen, he's a collector as well. First I met him in 2006. It was his first mineral that he bought from me. And now I think he have one of the finest collection, I would say, in the world, one of the. And he took me to a dealer and he says, "Look at this piece, Mustafa," because I'm helping him building his collection. I says, "Oh, it's a very good piece." He says, "What do you think of it?" I says, "What do you want me to tell you? What do I think of the price? Or what do I think of the quality?" He says, "Oh, it's the price is that much." I said, "The price is really good." So then he said, "Oh, so I shall buy it then." I says again, are you a dealer or a collector? That's the most important thing. If you're putting in your collection, I would not go for it because there are many this caliber and this quality. What I want you to spend your money on is, at least if you can, to have the best of the best. Right. Of course, somebody can afford, somebody can't. But until you're level that what you can afford, still I would say at least look for the best if you can.
That's always the issue for collectors.
Right. That's right.
That's their wall. But.
Yeah, and they always look at the price. To be honest with you, maybe I'm wrong, Dave. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're collecting, then okay, price is always good if you can get in a good price, but then you should not be very concerned about the price. If you're looking like you say, I want to have the best collection. If you want to have the best collection, then you should not be thinking a lot about the price. Let's suppose, for example, you have a piece in front of you, and it has happened so many times. You have a piece that I know, he knows, that a piece like this to ever see again, the chances are 1% out of 100%, right? Okay, yes, but the price is, yes, the price is high. Right. But what's your perspective? You wanted to you wanted to build the best collection, possible.
Right.
So if you want to collect, to make the best collection possible, then unfortunately, I would say you have to take the price issue out, and you have to think how great the specimen is. If it's really the best, you grab that.
Well, it's one reason why I tell beginning collectors, if you can do it,
yes, if you can do it,
don't spend your money on 10 pieces, buy one.
100%. 100%. And Dave, you can absolutely go no wrong with that. I would rather prefer do it. Like I have seen it in my person. If you are, for example, buying 10 specimen, I would definitely, like you said, go for one specimen rather than having 100. And to be honest with you, I've seen a lot of collectors regretting it. Even now I see, they start to selling and upgrading. So
Right.
imagine if you're selling and upgrading, what does that mean? So that means you should learn from them the mistake that they have made. At the end, they also know that, oh, I made a mistake. I should have gone for the best.
Sometimes you have to make those mistakes.
Exactly.
Though, you know,
but it's good for the
right.
new collectors.
Oh, yeah,
I think.
yeah.
So they should just learn from this.
But not to let that scare them away from getting into it at all.
Right.
Because,
yeah.
You still are there because you love it.
Of course, yes. Of course.
Getting back to Pakistan, though, I have a question.
Sure.
It's not what we've been talking about.
Of course,
but so these things have been coming out. The pegmatite gems specimens have been coming out for decades.
Yes.
All the time I've ever been collecting. Is it endless? I mean, do you see this going on again for still yet decades? Is there so much to dig over there that you would never fear for being able to source these things?
To be honest with you, the way I see in Pakistan and Afghanistan, I was actually shocked and surprised. I was talking with Federico Pezzotta, the curator of Milan Museum once, and he has an excellent experience in mining. And I was telling him something about the Paprok tourmaline mining that's been producing crazy. And I was very surprised. He went to his laptop and through satellite, he showed me all the area, and he told me, Mustafa, up until now, what they have been digging, they haven't even dug 1% of what is in there.
Wow.
You know,
wow.
And I was shocked, and I says, how come you say that? He says, look, I have experience. Look at here, look at here, look at that.
Yeah.
The way that they're digging is just a basic one, common one. They don't have the machinery, they don't have the right tools. So I think not even 1%. He showed me, because obviously the geologist people, they know the veins in the mountains, and they know, they have an idea where to start digging and where to go working. And I was actually shocked and surprised. And I agree with that, Dave, because even in Skardu in Pakistan, even in Paprok, the mining is going on. Products have been coming out, the minerals have been coming out excessively, but I would agree that it's not even 10% of what is in there. There's incredible treasure there.
Just the steepness of the mountains and everything, and the accessibility of so many of these places is so restrictive. You can't bring heavy equipment up there that would work fast.
Right.
Everything is pretty much hand tools.
Yes, they are. Nowadays they're a little bit advanced. Chainsaw machines. They're using the chainsaw machines as well, which is helping a lot.
So they bring generators up.
Yeah, generators as well.
Okay.
I think much better, much way better. And I think since the King of Kashmir came, I think the famous piece from Skardu, I think one of the miners, they went and they cut that piece, and all the miners learned really significantly from that. That really helped a lot. The machine that they use, how they just the cutting of the specimen from the ceiling of the pocket. So I think after that, I think it's been significant improvement.
Oh, that specimen must have caused quite a buzz.
Yes, absolutely.
And it took a long time to recover it. So I'm sure people were talking about it for a long time.
Not only that, but that gives people a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. They know now what they can dig. They know now what is the possibility in the mountains of Skardu in Pakistan. What they can, imagine if the King of Kashmir is there, there's a possibility even better is there.
Right.
They just have to do the digging.
Hard to imagine better.
For sure. Well, I mean,
with garnets all over the top of them.
You never know. You never know. 5 years ago, we had a pocket of aquamarine with the garnets and elbite. I don't know if you remember. It was incredible.
Oh no, they were beautiful.
It was incredible.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I think the production is not the way that if you ask me, are there incredible potential there in those mountains?
Okay.
The way that I see how the mining is happening is just incredible.
That's good to know.
Yeah, really incredible.
Is there anything else about aesthetics we haven't considered? So we talked about color and size and the no damage and the clarity and of the crystals itself and associations and the general focus of the balance. Balance, I think, was a big word in aesthetics.
I think so.
Anything else that we haven't considered in this aesthetic conversation?
I think I would say attractive is as well, that it attracts you, because of its I would say again the quality and the color contrast.
That's that dragging you in.
Yes, that's the most important thing.
I
think that's the very important thing. That's what I learned in my career as well from my teachers. I would say that whenever you see something and it just grabs your attention.
But you do feel that your clients, people you sell to, it's a very personal thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So how some people define some of the terms we've been using may not be the same way other people use the same term.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Do you feel you have to educate your client a little bit sometimes, or are they all? Wouldn't you buying fine minerals? You pretty much know what probably what to look for.
Yeah, the problem, Dave, is I think it's the hardest thing to do, to be honest with you. You always have your clients coming to you and, you know, you wanted to tell them something. You start to think that, you know, oh, maybe it's not right, you know, maybe I have to consult somebody else. But I do tell them, like, for example, I told you earlier about the aquamarines. A lot of people were saying, oh, there's tons of aquamarines coming, which is right, the tons of aquamarines coming. But like I mentioned before, similar with the static and quality, I feel personally, Dave, that it's my job that I should at least mention it to them, regardless of if they agree or not. You know, we will tell them exactly what we have learned in our career in
that's
business.
the right thing to do. I think.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like for example, I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot from, you know, all those collectors which have been collecting for decades, like, you know. And for us, it's very important to talk to them, sit with them, like, you know, especially when somebody tells you something. Okay, that's fine. Let's sit with Dave Wiseman. How long he's been collecting? Let's ask him.
Well, I'm glad you say that, because I think that is important. And as a dealer, I think that's the right thing to do.
That's very important for dealers and as well as for collectors. You know, if you're a new collector, for example, and you're going to a dealer to buy something, what I would say is, you know, listen to what he says, but you should sit with the prominent collectors that you know. And the good thing about the shows, Dave, is that's what it's all about. In the show, you have an incredible opportunity to meet whoever you want, you know, especially the top collectors. And the top collectors are the ones that they could exactly tell you what is the right thing, because they have gone through for 30 years, 40 years.
I always say, come to a show to be a mentor or to find a mentor.
Exactly. You know? And this is how I learn, you know.
Yeah, this is
whenever I come to the shows, Dave, I always go to visit the collections. The basic and the major point behind that is just to see, you know, and see what they have bought, what they have put in their collection, what they think of it, what can we learn, why have you bought this specimen, what is the reason, why have you paid six-figure for that? Because they would for sure know, because they've been collecting for 30 years. And they will give you an information that could be very significant for your mineral career, you know?
That's right.
Yeah, I think I would highly recommend any newcomer collector or even any dealer to just go and talk to all those prominent collectors that they've been doing, and I think they are really helpful indeed, that they want to just pass all these messages.
Besides, the mineral community is a fun group of people.
It's fantastic. It's incredible.
I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Yes, me too as well, Dave. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah,
thanks very much.